So what if I told you the secret to getting incredible results wasn't some huge heroic effort? What if it was actually all about tiny, almost invisible changes? Well, that's the big idea from James Clear that we're going to dive into today.
To really truly get this philosophy, you have to understand where it all started for him. And believe me, it began with a moment that almost ended everything.
I mean, just imagine hearing that. This isn't some made-up story. It's the actual shocking start to James Clear's own life journey. A teammate's bat just slipped, went flying through the air, and hit him right between the eyes.
The damage was, well, it was catastrophic. We're talking multiple fractures in his skull. The doctors had to put him into a medically induced coma. His life just completely changed and became this grueling month-after-month battle just to recover. A year later, when he finally made it back to the baseball field, his dream just felt totally crushed. He was cut from the varsity team. For a kid who had put his whole life into the sport, that was just a deeply humiliating moment. He said he just sat in his car and cried. But then, the turning point. He gets to Denison University. It was a completely fresh start, and he realized a really simple truth. He, and only he, was responsible for his own recovery. So he started small, like really small, building tiny habits like just going to bed early, keeping his room tidy, anything to get back a little sense of control.
And you know what? This intensely personal journey led him to an absolutely profound discovery. He found this universal principle hiding in the surprising power of tiny improvements.
So what even is an atomic habit? Well, the book defines it in two really cool ways. First, atomic, like an atom, an incredibly small, fundamental piece of a bigger system. But also, atomic as in atomic energy, the source of just immense power. It's all about small habits that have this explosive potential.
Now, it's so easy to brush off a 1% improvement. It feels like nothing, right? But the math here tells a completely different story. If you get just 1% better each day for a year, you end up, get this, 37 times better. But on the flip side, getting 1% worse every day brings you down to almost nothing. The daily change is tiny, but the long-term difference, it's just staggering.
So if it's that powerful, why do we give up so easily? Well, Clear has a name for it, the plateau of latent potential. See, we expect our progress to be this nice, straight line, but in reality, our efforts often feel like they're doing nothing at first. We're stuck on this plateau, where the real results are building up, but they're still unseen.
He uses this great analogy of an ice cube in a cold room. Imagine it's -4 degrees, nothing. -2 degrees, still nothing. But at 0 degrees, boom! That 1 degree shift unleashes a massive change. All your earlier efforts weren't wasted. They were just storing up potential.
And that brings us to another huge shift in thinking. We're all taught to be obsessed with goals, right? But Clear argues we should be focusing on something else entirely. I mean, think about it. Winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals. Every single athlete at the Olympics wants to win a gold medal. So if everyone has the same goal, the goal itself can't possibly be the thing that makes the difference.
Let's look at the British cycling team. For nearly 100 years, they were mediocre. Then, in 2003, their new performance director, Dave Brailsford, basically ignored the big goal of winning the Tour de France. Instead, he started this system he called the aggregation of marginal gains, where they just focused on improving every single little thing they did by just 1%. And what happened? The results were historic. So here's the crucial point. Goals are about the results you want to get. Systems are about the processes that get you there. If you want better results, you got to forget about setting goals. Focus on your system instead.
Okay, so how do you actually build a system like that? Clear breaks it all down into 4 simple, really actionable laws for building good habits and, just as important, for breaking the bad ones.
Law number 1 is to make the cues for your good habits super obvious. Clear tells this great story about how he started eating more apples just by taking them out of the fridge and putting them in a big fruit bowl on the counter. It's that simple. Out of sight, out of mind. Obvious, insight, in mind.
All right, law number 2, make it attractive. A perfect example is how ABC branded its Thursday night shows as TGIT. They got people to pair watching their shows with things they already love to do, like drinking wine and eating popcorn. The whole idea is simple. You link a habit you need to do with a habit you already want to do.
The third law is to make it easy. Look, human nature follows the law of least effort. We are fundamentally wired to save energy.
So instead of trying to fight resistance with pure willpower, the real key is to just reduce the friction. Make your good habits as easy as possible to do.
And a fantastic way to do this is the 2-minute rule. Whatever habit you're trying to start, shrink it down to something you can do in 2 minutes flat. Read before bed becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. The point isn't to get results in 2 minutes, it's to master the art of just showing up.
And finally, the fourth law, make it satisfying. Our brains, they're wired to want rewards right now. The problem with bad habits is that the reward is immediate, but the consequences are way down the road. So for a good habit to stick, you have to find a way to feel successful right away.
Here's a brilliant example of this law in action. A young stockbroker started every day with 2 jars on his desk. One had 120 paper clips in it, the other one was empty. After every single sales call he made, he'd move 1 paper clip over. He wouldn't stop until all 120 were in that second jar. It was such a simple way to see his progress and make the grind feel satisfying in the moment.
So what does this all boil down to? The main message is really captured in one last, really powerful metaphor that shows just how much it matters where you start.
Just picture a plane leaving LA, heading for New York City. If the pilot adjusts the heading at just 3.5 degrees to the south, a change so small you'd never even notice it at takeoff, that plane won't land in New York. It'll land in Washington, D.C. Your habits, they're your life's trajectory. A tiny change today can literally guide you to a completely different destination years from now.
So all this leaves us with a really critical question. Not for tomorrow, not for next week, but for right now. What tiny 1% change, what little atomic habit can you start today that's going to put you on a completely new path?